Hello everyone and welcome to the Masteries video. So in a second I'm just going to stop the video on this screen so we can have a nice look at each of the different parts of the Masteries menu, I suppose. Okay, so let's just start with the actual points you have. So on the left side of the menu you can see up there it says Mastery points I have is 4. Now that equivocally is kind of like going to be your new level, as it were, and that will show up next to your name instead of it just saying level 80, because it's now kind of redundant information. And on the right side is the actual amount of unspent point, as it says, unspent mastery points. That is what I have to spend now. So try not to get the two confused, which I certainly did at the time. So just below your total mastery points, you can see that there are two large categories that you can fold out to see the subcategories. So the first one's Heart of Maguma, and this one will encompass all and any experience earned within Heart of Maguma kind of locations, so the maps that will be in Heart of Maguma basically. And the one under it, Pacteria, obviously that is all based on the PvE content of the core game. So any kind of levels you get in there will progress towards those lines of those mastery lines, as it were. To make it a bit more clear and give you an example of that, we'll just have a look at the Heart of Maguma gliding line here, and I'll explain how that works. Okay, so let's say you've just opened up the mastery menu, you go into Heart of Maguma gliding, and then you select it. You'll know if you've selected it because you'll have a little tick next to it, as well as to the right side of your total mastery points. You'll see a big ass tick right there. So if we have a look at my one as an example, you can see that I have progression into lean techniques. Now, actually, if I show you a picture of my EXP bar, you'll see that they are the exact same, because that's the one I've got selected, and instead of being linked directly to your character anymore, your EXP bar is now instead linked to whatever mastery you've got selected. So if I swapped out now to Itzel Law, for instance, my XP bar would go down to 0, and then whatever progress I made into Itzel Law would stay there. Basically, if I went back into gliding, then it would start on gliding again. So as you can see, your EXP bar really isn't bound to level anymore. It really is bound to your masteries, and just your masteries. So once you've gained enough EXP, which you can do from, you know, the usual kind of events, finishing story kind of steps, anything frankly that gives you EXP in the normal core game is the exact same in Maguma, and that will all go towards your masteries once you have one selected. So once you do have one selected, you can see on the side there of all of the masteries they have a little unlock, and basically they all have their own little steps. So the first one obviously only takes 1 point, and the next one takes 2, and so on and so on and so on. So basically your mastery point, it's not as simple as one level equates to one new, one new thing unlocked in the mastery. It may be one level now equates to 5 or so on. So basically they will be a bit harder to unlock and max out than just, I'll get a few levels and then boom, you've got them all unlocked. But that's not to say that you can't earn mastery points in any other way apart from leveling. You certainly can. They will, in a similar fashion to places of power, as they were called, where you could gain skill points. There are also places of power, well, equivalents for mastery points, which, at least in my experience from Verdant Brink, the first two that I found, really required gliding. There was no other way to get to them apart from gliding. So, yeah, there will be more ways of getting mastery points than just leveling. If there wasn't, I imagine this system taking quite a long time to finish and fully get through. But no, don't get very angry. There are other ways to progress a bit quicker anyway, through the mastery system. Okay, so now that you know how to get mastery points and you kind of basically have a good idea of what they are, what about the individual lines here? Because gliding itself is very obvious, but something like Itzel Law, New HoT Law, Exalted Law, all of these things are going to be not so self-explanatory. So Itzel Law, as an example, another example, will help you with being able to use the various mushrooms in Verdant Brink. Maybe some other maps too, I'm not sure on that one. But basically these mushrooms might give you a speed boost, or like they might let you bounce up on top of something that otherwise would have been more annoying to reach. For instance, maybe not impossible, maybe some of them are actually impossible to get to without the mushrooms, I'm not sure. But basically, some of those things. Also, I believe at the end of the line, or maybe halfway through, at a somewhere difficult to access part of it, you will actually gain the ability to talk to racial vendors for the Itzel, for example, and you can buy specific things from them. Things that you probably can't get anywhere else. Maybe, I'm not sure on that one again, because I actually did not specify into Itzel lore, as you can probably see. So apart from that, something like Exalted Lore, to give another example, because that one's very vague, incredibly vague actually, that will give you access to secret areas, as they say, and let you see runes that other players cannot see. So this is actually going to be very interesting part. I probably will go into Exalted Lore as soon as I get basic gliding. But basically what that's going to do is just as it says, let you find secret areas, and you'll probably gain some more mastery points by finding those areas, and just some cool interesting stuff, maybe even some good loot, although a bit wavy on that one, not really sure. So I understand that may be a bit hard to take in because they're not very clear about what they give, but once you actually click on the line, you'll get a rough idea of what you're going to get out of it, more or less. So, you know, and they'll probably add some more description into it as time goes on, and if not, you can just, I don't know, you know, select it, unlock the ability to use the first kind of part of the mastery, and then you should get a good description of what it does once you've done that. You don't actually have to spend your mastery point to do that though, so, you know, you're not losing out. So just to quickly summarize what masteries actually are, they are the new progression/leveling system for the game. We will no longer be going, we'll no longer have a higher cap each time in an expansion or something like that, or well, that won't be a thing, not no longer, it hasn't been a thing before. And instead now we'll be leveling the masteries, which unlock cool new little features within certain maps and abilities to do certain things within those maps or areas of the world. And that's it really when it comes to masteries. It's not more complicated than that. It's a good system. Hopefully it will, you know, stop the bloating of stats and stuff like that later on down the line. And obviously it's very easy to expand upon. You know, you just okay, I won't go into that, that's too much. But yeah, so hopefully you guys now have a good understanding of what masteries are. I know for a fact when I first looked at the menu I got a bit overwhelmed. I was like, oh god, what's going on here? But yeah, the BWE really helped me get a grasp on that one, to actually experience masteries themselves instead of just reading about them. Because when I first read about it, it was a lot to read, and it was kind of like, okay, it's quite a lot to take in. Mechanics usually are with MMOs, but once you experience it, it becomes a lot simpler, it becomes a lot easier to explain and to use. So yeah, okay, so the next video, guys, will just be kind of sign off to the first BWE with me talking about the Verdant Brinks map, or what little bit of it we got to experience. So hopefully I'll see you guys in that one. See ya.